So first and foremost, this is webinar style. So I wish I could see all of you. I can't. I love interacting, but there is a Q&A. I will go through. I have the Q&A popped up on my screen. So if you guys put in a question in there, I will just start answering it as it's relevant. Some of them I might wait till the end. So before we begin, this is all about the perfect loan presentation. This is something I'm super passionate about. This is something that I've perfected. So let me give you some context. I'm Lara Locke. I'm a level 3 core coach. And let me tell you where I failed. I failed for so many years in terms of building trust with the client. I'm from Southern California, so I'm shopped all the time. And I'm in an area where it's mostly brokers. I used to be a broker myself. And so brokers have the same interest rates as everybody else. They will just reduce their margins quite a bit to win the deal. And so the whole point of the core is profitability. The whole point of the core is to grow a team and to be profitable in it. And to do that, to grow a team, you have to have some margins in there built in for expenses. So I had to really learn in Southern California, in my specific community, I had to really learn how do I hold my margins? And that all like, and when I say I screwed up on this, Rick at one point was calling me, Rick Ruby was calling me the Del Taco of mortgages because I just kept on dropping my margins to win deals as much as I could. So when I sat down after getting yelled at over and over and over again, I sat down and I thought about, okay, what is it that helps you hold margins? Like, I'm a great loan officer. I've been doing this for X amount of years. I'm in the core, all these things. What is wrong with me? Well, it came down to building trust. And the number one facet of a great pre-approval meeting is to build trust, but actually it's so much more than that. When you dial in, I call it my front of the house, my pre-approval process. When you dial in your front of the house that lead to in contract process, all of a sudden you could do 8-day closes. All of a sudden you could do no loan contingencies. All of a sudden you can compete in a whole different way. And then when your file does go into contract and it does go to the processor and it gets submitted to underwriting, you're coming out with less than 1, 2 borrower conditions. So this is so much more than just the pre-approval meeting. This is realizing that that lead to in contract process is the most important process, the biggest tool in your tool belt. So if you really think about it for yourself, you can take it to a whole new level. So let's dive into it. Everybody will have this landing page. I created a landing page for this. So I'm going to just talk about how I structure my pre-approval meeting. A lead comes in, I have them group texted to my personal cell phone. As soon as that group text happens, it goes into my CRM. A text goes out from my office line and say, hey, it's Lara, this is my office line as well. So I'm building trust between the agent and that client right away. From there, I do the initial lead call. And that lead call, in my opinion, sets up your pre-approval meeting. And so let me share this with you real quick. Let's go here and Laura and lead notes. Okay. So the lead call, I try to do as many of them as I can on Zoom. And let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. I am. I do as many of them as I can on Zoom. I like building trust right away. This is not the pre-approval meeting yet. This is just the lead call, that initial call. And I am just quickly going through, oh, borrower name, Jane Smith, our first time home buyer. Yes, how much you pay in rent? Oh, you pay $2,500. Oh my gosh, you're paying $30,000 in rent for somebody else's mortgage. So on that lead call, as I fill this Excel out, and yes, the core has it, and yes, if you need it, you can have it. As I fill this Excel out on my lead call, I'm already setting up the benefits of homeownership, which helps me tie directly into my pre-approval meeting. So on my lead call, I absolutely do focus on the this and that, what do you do for a living? How is your credit? I absolutely do go into that. It's about a 15-minute call, not a lot of time, but my biggest focus is I am looking for the sales skills. I'm looking for that benefits of homeownership and cost of waiting that gets filled out as we go along. It just automatically fills out for me. So that's number one. So right before my pre-approval meeting, I'm reviewing not only my initial call notes, but I'm reviewing the master approval notes. Like, how does it correlate? It's about a 5-minute review. And then I have on here kind of everything that I do. So let me decrease this. So right before my meeting, now I have a team. If you don't have a team, I would be doing this myself. So my executive assistant will make sure the mortgage coach is done for me. We'll make sure I have certain things set up, like I do a refinance certificate, which I'm going to talk to you about here. So this is my SOP, my standard operating procedure of what happens before and after every pre-approval meeting. So they're setting everything up, the confirmation of the appointment. I try to do as many appointments face to face. Now, if I'm doing an appointment face to face, I don't have anything recorded for them. But I like when a client leaves my office that I go and record all of the bullet points that we went over. So no matter what, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's in person, they are getting an unlisted YouTube video recording of their pre-approval. Uh, is it watched a ton? No, it's really not. Like when you go back and you look at all the views of the unlisted YouTube means it's just whoever has the link can view it. It's not for public consumption. So you can go back and see who's watched it or not. But what it helps me with is it does help me with the real estate agents in terms of they have something they can watch and they know that I'm taking the time with every single client to record a video for them. Now, if this client is on Zoom, I'm recording the entire Zoom call so they can see it from top to bottom. We go over everything. So my executive assistant makes sure that my team did my mortgage coach because I do use those scenarios. They make sure that my refinance certificate is up and running. They make sure the confirmation of appointment is done. And then when the video recording is done, then they put it on YouTube. She also makes sure that we have the buyer's pre-approval package and look, benefits of homeownership. So when a client first comes on, the first thing I'm doing is I'm edifying the agent again. Oh, Nathan Hanlon, how did you meet him? Oh, you met him in an open house. Look, I work with over 400 agents, and Nathan Hanlon is one of my top 3 agents. He is absolutely fantastic. The fact that you met him at an open house, you got so lucky on that. You are absolutely going to love him. His communication is great. He really focuses on the client. In fact, there are some nights where he just ruminates, making sure that you're getting the best deal, that you're being negotiated the best way that you can be. So you take the moment and you really edify that client. It's 30 seconds and you're giving a little story behind it. A lot of my stories are I work with 400 to 500 agents, and this person is one of my top 3, as long as I know them and I've worked with them once or twice. So if not, I just listen to the client and go, oh, man, you're going to love this person. So make sure edifying the client is the first thing. And the next thing, let's say this client's name is Jane Smith. Jane, I know when we first spoke, we were on that Zoom call together and you saw me typing in my screen and I went over the benefits of homeownership. And now that you're fully pre-approved, I'm so excited for you. I'm really going to talk about it now. And I go over the benefits of homeownership again. So I think this is so missed on every pre-approval meeting. Before I open my mouth about the pre-approval of the benefits of homeownership, I'm keeping it conservative. We're predicted to go up 5%, but real estate actually goes up 6 to 8%. It's been a crazy couple of years, so I'd rather be conservative. And I walk them through year 1 year from today, at a 5% appreciation, you're going to have $30,000 in equity. Like, can you imagine you're putting 3.5% down for this house and you're going to walk out with $30,000 in 1 year from now? Again, Southern California. So $600,000 house is the first time home buyer house in my area. And I get to walk them through. And a lot of especially the first time home buyers have no idea about equity. And if it's a repeat client or if it's investor, I'm double downing on this because they understand the benefits of homeownership. Same thing with the tax deduction. Tax deduction, it's an estimated write-off. You have to speak to your tax preparer, but Mortgage Coach gives you an idea of what that write-off is, and you can calculate it just by including the payment in the PMI, and just 30% of that is just a rough number. but that's a one-to-one write-off, which they don't have. And then finally, my favorite one is your rent factor. Oh my gosh, you pay $2,700 a month in rent. That's $32,000 that you're paying for somebody else's mortgage. No more. Somebody asked in here, how did you create that homeownership form? I created it in Canva. I made it editable and I can share it to everyone. So this is something I just put together in Canva. Then I used a PDF creator to do it. So this is not done in Mortgage Coach. I truly just did these numbers myself to where my lead Excel form, I created the math in it, 5% appreciation for 5 years. So let me pull this back over here so you can see, because I'm getting some questions in here. So I can give this to the core as well. Anytime I do a lead call, I do it in here. So look, I could put 2,700 in rent and it automatically fills that form in. I can put the purchase price at 350 and it's automatically filling everything in. Not only is it giving me the cost of waiting, but it's giving me the benefits of homeownership. So I can spin it around the way I need to. And this is not BS. This is a true blue yearly rent cost. This is true blue tax estimate. This is true blue appreciation. And if I added all of those up, this is true blue what they would miss out in a year. So building my lead call in Excel to set me up for a powerful pre-approval meeting was one of the smartest things I've done because I started focusing on the sales of it, not just the operations and the semantics of how to structure a mortgage. I'm well past that in my career. I can do that in my sleep in my career. What I've been honing in on and what there are people a lot better than me is those sales skills. So I had to build it out to be able to speak on it, if that helps. And I will send this over. All right, so we talked about the benefits of homeownership. I edified the agent. I talked about the benefits of homeownership. And then I go into, let me make sure I have it on here. Before I get to anything else, I go into my mortgage board game. Hey, we did our initial call. You submitted your paperwork. This is our pre-approval meeting. My team and I, now I have to edify my team. I have to set it up, the doctor nurse, because remember, I don't want them reaching out to me all the time. So this is another part of the pre-approval process. My team is here for you. You have my cell phone number, but you have my office line. Every text message that comes in the office line, not only do I see, but my entire team sees. So always make sure that you're texting that. As we go through this, I want to make sure when the home search begins and you find a house that you love, not, not the five that you want to see, but after you saw them and you absolutely love it, we want to give you a no surprise payment in cash to close. So this is the first time I spin no surprises in here as well. So I walk them through. You're going to submit offers. I'm going to walk you through on my pre-approval package how we're going to make you so competitive. And then we're going to do that in contract meeting and we're going to go over your locked in rate. We're going to go over the disclosures. That point, I'll walk you through each one of these steps, but just know my team and I will handhold you through this process because my whole goal here is A, to get a 5-star review from you, that you're so happy, that you feel so educated and communicated with, that you want to give me that 5-star review. But my goal here is I want to people just like you that want to get it on a house and don't know where to start. And so when you refer them to me, you will know that I will take care of them because I did it for you as well. So I use this process, my mortgage board game, to set expectations and to start my CCR ask. So that's the next big thing. Again, if you have any questions, just put it in here. Now, before, and again, I haven't talked about anything of the scenarios yet, but before I start on the scenarios, again, my client is Jane Smith. Jane, the thing is, I read an article in the Wall Street Journal that 70% of Americans are millionaires because of real estate, not because that they won the lottery, not because of their amazing job, but because they invested in real estate. And to be honest with you, I can speak from experience. I've had 23 years of experience in this industry, and I see about 100 people's finances a month. And I can tell you, those that have money in the bank, well, one, they follow the simple formula of accumulating wealth, and it's nothing crazy. It's they buy their first home. They buy their first home and it appreciates year over year over year. They have a reserve account, and I can see already that you have about 2,000 in reserves. and they contribute to your 401k. I was looking at your pay stubs. I don't see that you're contributing to your 401k. Does your company offer that? And this one, oh my gosh, this one's taboo. And I was really nervous of this first, but here's how I got into it. So I spent about 5 minutes or so having a conversation, not word vomiting, which I'm doing right now to you guys, having a conversation of each one of the wealth accumulator. So I'm positioning myself again as the advisor. I'm positioning myself, which is true. I see so many people's finances every single month, and we all see the rinse repeat of the people that have money. It's that home, it's that savings, it's that 401k. They have an investment account. They typically have other homes. So that rinse repeat millionaire mindset is such an easily formula to touch on after buying benefits of homeownership. Someone asked me, what do you use for a landing page? So it could go, you don't actually need a landing page whatsoever. You could do this all in email with PDFs on it. I set this up here for you guys as a landing page so you could see it. A great landing page to use, though, is a company called Lender Launchpad. But really, this can be done all by email. So going back into my Zoom call, I'm going to open up my master pre-approval form, which is this guy. Let me move back over here. I'm not having Encompass open. My team fills out the master pre-approval for me. And so I open it up, whether they're in person or in Zoom, and I'm going over all its glorious yellow and ugliness cells and all of that. I'm letting them see internally. Oh, your credit health is, I don't know, 801. Fantastic. Here's what you have on your credit. I go through that. Here's your qualifying income. I go through that. Here's how much we're using for funding. I go through that. So I'm letting them see an internal document, but I'm just spending 5 minutes making sure I miss nothing on the pre-approval. And then from there, I get to go into my mortgage coach. My mortgage coach, right on the landing page, I created this one specifically for the core. No real scenarios here. And I go over how they're going to read this. Jane, this is a live link. When you find that property you love, even though these are just generic scenarios right now, this helps me have no surprises for you. So let me talk about the payment. With the payment, I go over, we have HOA. If there's solar, we put it on here. I'm really breaking it down. I am selling no surprises over and over and over and over again. Someone had a question, Natalie. She said, how do you handle referral over the weekend that they are already working with the lender, but they need a pre-approval letter from you because you answered your phone on the weekend? What is the process in doing so? So here's something really unique because we all get those weekend calls. My lender is not answering. We're already pre-approved. So I started keeping a tally of them, of how many of these already pre-approved, lenders not answering their calls, how many of them are just going to go jump back to the lender right away on the weekend. And it was like 75% of them. So that's something else that I focused on in terms of my referrals over the weekend. If I get a referral over the weekend, my one caveat, non-negotiable, is you have to get on a Zoom call with me. You have to get on a Zoom call for the initial call. I will not do it over the phone with you because I am one of those people. I'm not cheap, and not in terms of, I'm not talking about interest rate. I'm not talking about cost. I'm not cheap where just because you're busy or your lender's busy doesn't mean I'm not. So if I'm taking a referral over the weekend, it is on Zoom. We're spending 10 to 20 minutes together because I need the opportunity to build rapport with you and sell you on the benefits of homeownership and why using me as a team. If they do not get on Zoom call with me, I am not doing it. And that's my non-negotiable. Too many times do they just switch over. So there's that. Again, going back to mortgage coach. And again, if you have any questions, put them in here. We have about 10 minutes left on this. I am selling no surprises constantly. And that's why I love mortgage coach. I don't care if you use an Excel. I don't care if you use MBS Highway. I don't care what you use, but you need to make sure, for at least for me, here's the payment breakdown. When you see this payment on the main screen, you know that we've done our research on this property. And you know what, Mrs. Smith, Jane, I'm not going to look up every property for you because it takes my team and I 20 minutes to do so. So only the properties that you're thinking about putting an offer on will we pick up. If you start sending us property after property after property because you just want to get a ballpark range, we're going to hop on the phone together and we're going to go over it a little bit again. So I'm setting that expectation up front. I'm direct, but I'm nice to the clients. I'm direct, but I'm educating them because my time and my team's time, we only have so much of it. So be careful. And when you're saying you're going to do scenarios for anybody, some people have it set up where, and it just depends on what state you live in. Some people have it set up where they can do their own scenarios. The thing in California is we have pockets of Melrose all over the place. We have pockets of HOA all over the place. I used to do it that way. It bit me in the butt one too many times. And so this is the way I do it now. So depending on your area, this is where you can alter it. Same thing with the cash to close. The cash to close, again, is no surprises. And I start here with a buy down. I put a buy down, and right now, in my opinion, these permanent buy downs are not worth it. I am telling them I'm putting a permanent buy down in here. But hey, look, and I'm explaining what this means. But the great thing about this, Jane, is you don't have to do a buy down. We get to decide. And honestly, when we get on our in-contract call, when you get that accepted offer, we're going to go through it to where I'm going to show you 4 different rates. I really do. Josh Sigmund taught me this a while ago. Show them 4 different rates, and we're going to talk about the return on investment on each one. So we do the payment savings with each one. We do the cost with each one, and you can divide the savings into the cost to see your ROI. 9 times out of 10, they're not doing a buy down. I am not getting seller credits in Southern California. If you do, you could do 2-1 buy downs and all the things you guys know how to do. But I'm going through them. You see here, even appraisers are charging between $650 to $750 in my area. But I'm letting them know I don't want them to be surprised by anything. You're going to pay the appraisal directly or the appraiser directly. However, I'm just being sure. I think it's going to be between 650 to 8 or 650 to 750. I just want to make sure I have 850 on here. So I'm upselling a little bit. And you could ask me, hey, have you got it where they've gone, someone else is cheaper? No, I haven't, because I'm telling them I don't know exactly what the fees are. So the seller chooses the escrow company. The seller chooses the title company. I'm going through each one of them. I work with a ton of different banks. Underwriting fees range from $995 to $1,500. You know, I'm giving you $2,200 so you're not surprised by anything. And so I am bulking this up by, let's say, $3,000. I'm letting them know that I'm padding it, but I'm wanting to make sure, because things always come up, that this cash to close works for them. As a down payment, it has a first payment, it has a prepaids and a closing cost, and I'm going over what that means for them. Someone asked, what do you do with a very qualified buyer that doesn't necessarily see the value in the whole presentation? Let's say this isn't their first go around. Do you alter the presentation? Yes, I do. I do like a quick disc on someone. So a quick disc on someone is when they have they're not asking any questions. They just want answers really quickly, which is about 3% of the population. For them, I am going through this and only this, the mortgage coach and only the mortgage coach. I am clicking up the benefits of homeownership to show you have this on here. You have this on here. Let's talk about the disc with relationship to pre-approved or to buyers. I think it's 67% are S clients. So I've geared everything I've done to an S client. They're emotional, but they're not aggressive. I think it's 11%. Forgive me if I don't remember this exactly. 11% of the high I's, they're aggressive, but they're emotional. This helps them as well. 13%, my math is so wrong, sorry, maybe it's 17%, I don't know, is C's, where they're asking a lot of questions. They're non-emotional, or they're, what is it? They're aggressive but non-emotional, or non-aggressive, non-emotional, something like that. There are my engineers, they're asking a ton of questions. We're only 3% of the population is that high D personality. So I've geared on the DISC test, my pre-approval meeting, to the rest of the spectrum, with that DISC high D being slightly altered. That was a great question. So I go over no surprises one more time, and I let them know, oh my God, look, we talked about the benefits of homeownership. I have them on here for you again. So super comprehensive. I let them know I have a little thing on impounds on here, but I let them know, hey, every bank that I work with, has agreed that when you come back to refinance, because this is a high rate environment, that we will waive up to a certain cost of the underwriting fee. So I go over what refinancing looks like in that certificate. What I don't have on here that I recently altered before I touch on my actual pre-approval is I have a little blurb on the 3 upfront costs where I talk about E&D, appraisal, as well as home inspection. And then I have like, this is what escrow does. I don't touch on that. I just have a PDF of it. So how long does my pre-approval meeting take? This takes no more than 30 minutes. If done well, you've already built rapport with the client, the lead call. The lead call, the pre-approval meeting is just the continuation of the lead call. This does not take long. I have not handed this off to my team at all. In fact, my game plan clients get on a Zoom with one of my team members where we share that Excel spreadsheet and we go over their game plan so they can understand why they're not qualified. For me to be able, because every single client, I want them to feel educated, whether they qualify now or later. So I want that CCR in there, and I want to be able to call my referral partner to say, here's what we do. I think we are rounding this down. So is there a recording of this? Any tools that can be shared with the attendees? There's definitely a recording. So my tech stack, what is my tech stack? Canva. I create everything in Canva. A lot of like, and sometimes I suck at Canva, and you can do Fiverr. If you have a marketing person, they can make it better. But you can kind of see maybe not everything is like cohesively looking. That's because I just do what I do in Canva and we figure it out later. I do have a marketing person that will go up and clean up after me. So Canva number 1, Mortgage Coach number 2, Excel number 3, where is part of my tech stack. And then Loom, I record via Loom videos if it's an in-person meeting. And if it's an in-person meeting, one of the bigger things that we do on my lead call is I do ask what their favorite candy bar is and what their favorite snack is. Because when they walk in here, I want that snack on the counter for them. So if it's an in-person, I record it via Loom. I think Loom is like $100 for the year to do recordings, but any like BombBomb, any of that will work. And you can set this up via email where, hey, all of these PDFs that I printed for you, I'm going to put in an email as well as my recorded video, or you could use a landing page like Lender Launchpad or even Canva. You could create websites out of and do this as well. Other than that, the biggest thing that I do at the end is say, do you have any questions for me? Because, and I literally use the word vomit or the phrase word vomit because it makes everyone laugh. Because I word vomited all over you and I went over a ton of this, but I want to make sure you thoroughly understand the benefits of homeownership and the no surprises my team and I do. They say they don't have any questions, that I let them know, and here's 2 other important things. I let them know that I'm going to be scheduling a 15-minute Zoom call with their agent. Just like I shared my screen with you, Jane, I'm going to be sharing my screen with your agent because then I want them to understand what you've got going on with your finances in terms of the parameters that we're going to stay in. And I also let them know I'm going to be following up with them within 2 days to see if they have any questions for me. I have a question here. What is your handoff to the team after the client walks out the door? What is your job or next step? That's such a great question. So schedule 15-minute Zoom to go over the PQ. Do recap to agent in Salesforce. Update Salesforce notes. So my CRM is Salesforce. So this is printed for me for every pre-approval meeting. I don't have time to sit and type all the notes out. One of the best things about ChatGPT on your phone now is you could go into ChatGPT and it has a record. I'll record it for my executive assistant for all my notes. And I will just go over, they're super excited or they're very quiet on the call or we didn't spend much time. This is their personality. This is my expectation. And she'll just copy paste over those ChatGPT notes over to my Salesforce notes. Add to client agent greatness tracker in Salesforce. This is a face-to-face, and I am getting face-to-face with my agent. It's a non-negotiable. They have to get on a 15-minute Zoom with me because I need them to see for it. And then my team takes that from there in our meeting. In the meeting the next day, everybody, all of them get an alert that the pre-approval, which is all done in the later afternoon. So the next day, they're creating PQ packs and sending them to the agent for me. So that was a great question. So the handoff is where I've screwed up over and over and over again, by the way, to where my team, because some of them I do at like 8:30 at night. And I'm too tired. And I'll go in the next morning. They'll be like, "Where's my notes? You didn't do anything." And so just remember your job is to be a stellar team lead and not to fail and expect your team to do it. What percentage of clients come in for the application? Another great question. Okay, so that's varying for me by month. At one time, I had it upwards of 60%. This month, it's down to 30%. It's due to the holidays. Overarching, it's probably like 40 to 50% is where I'm at. When my team goes to set the pre-approval meeting, they set it. They're saying, "Hey, you're pre-approved. We want to get you in front of Lara again. We want to do it face to face. So what time works for you?" And so we have some designated time slots. I do have it built in Calendly. My team member will be on the phone with the Calendly link up to say X, this date, this date, this date. If they're hesitant about coming in, then we'll switch it over to Zoom in this month. And I'm assuming, or last month and this month, I think it's going to be a little bit more Zoom because of the holidays. I'm referring to Zoom and in person. So Zoom in person last month was only about high 30s, like 36% or something like that, where Zoom was the rest of them. And again, I think that's just because around the holidays, but I try to get it to 50% as much as humanly possible. Now, question is, do I have a higher conversion versus in person or versus Zoom? No, but I get me more CCRs in person. So not necessarily a higher conversion, but I get more sales out of it. Can you reiterate the initial call topics outlines you go over? I absolutely can. So, and again, I can share this. It's just an Excel. This Excel stays in the client's file the entire time. It's not an Encompass thing. We have an Excel on our computer. Literally, it has master pre-approval notes, in contract meeting, insurance review. We use it throughout the whole thing as a team as well. So, hey, Jane, are you a first-time home buyer? Yes. Okay, great. Love first-time home buyers. What do you pay in rent? What is your budget a month? Okay, so what price range are you looking in? Oh, 600,000. Fantastic. And this just helps me, and for whatever reason, this link is broken, which I'll fix. This just helps me see, does the proposed payment meet the budget? If it doesn't, then I know I really have to set expectations and start selling the benefits of homeownership. From there, I'm going to, how is your credit? I don't need specifics. Oh, it's great. Awesome. What type of things do you have a car loan on your credit? What type of things do you have on your credit? And I'm quickly just putting through this in here. And I let them know nothing has to be estimates. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, you're a teacher. Fantastic. What's your salary? 100K a year. Okay, so I'm filling this in as I go. This lead call takes 15 minutes. It really doesn't take longer than that. So I'm already giving myself a little bit of a debt to income, and I'm seeing the benefits of homeownership and catching problems up front. I have in here, some random questions: child support, alimony, judgments, do you owe the IRS money, are you U.S. citizens, all the normal things that we come up with. And when I'm done, I'm writing these notes out to my team on here, just like it's a conditional approval. And I'm print to PDFing this, and I'm sending this to the agent so they have an idea of it, as long as the client gives me permission to do so. So those are my initial call topics. Yes, you can get a recording of the presentation and the Excel form. And I will send the Excel form. Do you manually insert the client little bit liabilities on this client Excel sheet? Yeah, but it's as we're casually talking. So it's okay, Jane Smith. Do you have any credit cards? You don't have to know the payments. Oh, you have 8K in credit cards. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. And I'm just kind of putting in how much in student loans. Oh, you got student loans, but they're deferred. Okay, well, here's what we do in the mortgage world with student loans. Here's the balance. And then I can quickly ascertain if this is going to be, 0.5%, 1%. Truly, this at first probably took me 20, 25 minutes. It's about 15 minutes now on Zoom, just going over it with them. So, and I manually just do this as we go along. What percentage of apps are coming through your website link over the phone and meeting in person? So I'm going to differentiate this conversation or this question a little bit. So about 50% of my leads that are referred to me via a group text from the agent to my personal cell phone. Well, it's about 60% now. I'm getting on a Zoom call with. I'm trying to get that to 100%. The other, for the initial call, I'm doing over the phone and still filling out the sheet. Each month right now, it's varying when I do the pre-approval meeting. In November, only about 30% of the people we did pre-approvals, it's like 36%, they came in person. Everybody else wanted Zoom. This month, and we push in person. This month, I have a feeling it's going to be the same because of the holidays. Over the summer, I was about 62 to 64% were coming in person. Right now, with all of us trying to do this in person, we have solid metrics. You should be about 50% just overarching for in-person via Zoom. So that was a great question. Hopefully I answered it. Can we get a copy of the Excel sheet you use if we are not a current member of the core? Email the core and I'll let them make the decision for that, but you definitely should join the core. I joined the core, the CD program back then, and I was closing 1 to 3 units a month. That first year on that CD program alone, I doubled my business when I went to the summit and actually joined level 3. I went to 15 units a month within that first year. I went from making 100 to 150,000 to 750,000 a year my first year, and then I've never gone under $1 million on a pay log. So just to give you context, I was in the mortgage industry for, I don't know, I'm 41. I was started at 17, so probably 15 years. Was doing very well, new mortgages. I just didn't know sales and I didn't know how to run a business. So the core shapes you in a whole different way you didn't know you didn't know. When will these sheets be available on the core website? That part I don't know, but I'll make sure they have them. They might already have them. Is your initial call over phone or Zoom? My initial call, 50% of them over Zoom. I am pushing every initial call over Zoom right now. From that initial text, I am automatically saying I prefer Zoom. I like to share my screen. If you prefer a call, that's okay. What time works for you today is something like I text. But I'm trying to get this to, there's another core coach, Julie Johnson, that has this 80 to 90% over Zoom for the initial call because you're building rapport quicker. It's like magic, I tell you. So you should not be afraid of taking the time to do Zoom or meet in person before the app. I was getting away from that just in case it was someone who was not going to be approved for either credit or DTI, etc. So here's the beautiful thing. Here's the beautiful thing about doing a lead call like this, especially like a quick Excel that has things built out, is I am weeding out immediately on that initial call individuals that don't qualify, as many of them as I can. Not only that, but I'm saying, hey, you need a co-signer. I'm seeing all the red flags up front, which then helps me communicate to the client better. And then it helps me to communicate to the referral partner better. So it's one of those things. Go slow to go fast. It's speed to lead. Like that's fast. You get to them quickly. However, setting this up and doing a proper lead call, loving on them, building rapport, teaching them and educating them, it's paramount. And remember, only 3% of the population are that high D personality. And you could see it instantly over the phone where they don't want that. They don't want to give you the time of day, and that's okay. But those not necessarily aren't my clients all the time. Mine are the I's, the S's, and the C's. I function with 97% of the other population. So don't be afraid of taking the time to set this up properly because it's 15 minutes of my life that it saves my team, saves my workflow, all of that. But more importantly, I can communicate to my agents better. And that's what I'm going for. I'm going for CCRs and communicating with my agents better. I just recently joined the core level 1. Congratulations. I started level 1 too. When you started, did you start at level 1 or being that you experienced started at level 3? I started at level 1. Level 1, so level 1 now is you get an actual coach. Level 1 when I started, you get a CD. And I did not want anything to do with coaching. In fact, it was a real estate agent that I worked with. He was my biggest agent. He loved all things coaching. He was like a flavor of the week with coaching. And so he's like, this program is lender and agent. I want you to join it with me. 2 weeks, he hounded me, and I'm not joking, like berated me about joining it. So I finally, just to get him off my back, not knowing anything about this program, annoyed as all get out, said, fine, I will do it. And then I got this box in the mail and it was 3 CDs. And I'm like, what is this? I don't even have a CD player. Hun, how do I play a CD? Like, what am I supposed to do? So I was doing dishes and I was like angry that I was having to listen to this CD. Within the first 5 minutes, I stopped doing dishes and I just started listening to it. Second time around, I listened to it 3 times that night. Second time around, I started like really taking notes. Third time around, I started figuring out how I was going to implement. That first CD was on the personal budget. And so and then it was like, okay, let me actually research this company because I got a lot of takeaways. And so then I took it seriously. Level one, I don't care if you're a 50 unit a month producer. This is not teaching you mortgages. This is teaching you how to be profitable and how to bring a savings into your family, because let's be clear, this business is hard. And if we're not creating a legacy, which we have the beautiful ability to do so, then we haven't done our job for our family. So it teaches you really how to do that. It teaches you how to manage a team. It teaches you sales skills. It teaches you how to really lead generate. And this is not just level 1, 2, and 3. And I did the 2-year graduate program in level 3 and I'm done. No, for me, I'm 6 years into level 3 and I still have a list of 100 things that I'm trying to get better at and I'm honing in on it. So it's fantastic. Someone said, how many units before joining the core and what year? How many now? Okay. So, 7 years ago, whatever year that was, 2017, I was doing maybe 1 to 3 units when I joined level 1. Within the first year, I was at 5 to 8 units. So that was the end of the year of level 1. At level 3, my first semester in level 3, and I was between 15 to 20 units. And I'm pretty consistently at 20 units. This November, I did 17. This month, I will do, right now, I have 20, so between 17 and 20. But it's been consistently between 23 and 17 every single month this year. Do you push them to website after call to fill out application, or does you and your team do the application? I don't do the application. So that's a fantastic question. I like my team to pick up the phone and fill in the application to them. I do send them the website, but the website, you could screen share. And so I do send them the website because it's a secure link and they can fill it up or fill in all the documents and all of that. But I like my team to call immediately to say, you can sign on to this. You're going to see me filling it in for you. So it becomes interactive. So hopefully that helps. So from core staff, recording and handouts will be available by Friday. For any questions, you can call your concierge or email support@thecoretraining.com. I definitely, I'm talking to myself here. It's been fun, but I love all of the questions. You guys have been amazing. Hopefully you learned a thing or two, and hopefully you see how important the pre-approval process is. It's not just about that pre-approval meeting. It literally starts at the lead call. It's the whole front of the house process. If you dial it in, it's money. It's educating at the highest level. It's being able to refer at the highest level. It's being able to go back to your referral partners with confidence that you took care of a client. So I would suggest if you're building out any process, you should start here. And I hope this helps. And do you have LOs on your team is the last question. No more questions after this. I do not. I had LOs. So the year that I started this in 2017, at the end of the year, I had 8, 9 LOs. December 7th, 2017, quite literally to that date. That was the day that I realized that I'm going to get rid of all loan officers and I'm going to build a team just for my process. And I started it from the ground up for me, not for everybody. My experience with loan officers was a lot of time and this much profitability. So I wanted to see if I could switch the scales and build a unified process myself over and over. My unified process is absolutely built out now, and so maybe I'll be recruiting soon. But right now, it's just my team and I don't mind it that way. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Hopefully you got a lot out of this, and happy holidays.